Hey everyone, it's Dylan Wilder Quinn,
Jennie Pearl.
we're really excited to talk with you all more about this idea of moving beyond wellness, finding wholeness in health and social justice. Um, the way Jennie and I work is it's really relational. We like folks to be thinking on their own, develop thinking and leadership on their own in this. We're not trying to convince you of any one thing. It's more like we ask each other questions, we reflect, maybe we learn something from each other. So that's what we're going to do in this video. I'm going to start asking Jennie a question, and we'll see where it leads. Um, so Jennie, my question for you is how, like, I kind of want to talk about, like, hear about, like, the connection. What is my question? How does oppression show up in the wellness community for you? Like, what has your experience been with that?
I think my experience in wellness communities, when you ask the question, like, how does it show up? How does oppression show up in wellness communities? I think what comes to mind for me in this moment is like the ways that it actually doesn't show up, and that oppression and systems of oppression get kind of hidden in wellness communities and kind of like glazed over, and that a lot of us with white privilege and wellness being so white dominated the spaces, there's a lot of like focus on wellness, and like as a yoga teacher and as a body worker, there's a lot of concepts of like we are all one, and everyone is human and everyone deserves health. And yet we function in a society where racism is in the air we breathe. Systemic oppression is, we can't deny that it's in the air we breathe. And so I think what comes to mind is that it's mostly hidden, and that I think about in wellness communities for us white folks, it's like we're all trying to get well, right? We all want like wellness and health, and within that, don't see the ways that the community is continuing to perpetuate these systems. So that's what comes to mind for
Thanks. So I'm hearing when you think about oppression in wellness communities, it's like you're like, where is it? Why aren't we talking about it? Because there is so much of like this obsession about like health and wellness. Sorry, I'm painting my nails at the same time. I just finished that. About like health and wellness. But at the same time, there's this whole aspect of other folks' wellness that we're not talking about. I heard you mention racism specifically, so I'm guessing you're talking about people of color. But yeah, also this like we are all one, like we can be well, but there's not really a focus on the ways that many of the ways that folks are unwell in this world, like through systems of oppression like racism. Am I hearing you?
Yeah, and I think that's starting to change, like there's a lot of yoga studios and wellness communities that are like, why aren't there more people of color? Why aren't there more lower income folks in this space? So there's like these questions starting to be asked, but I think my question for you, Dylan, actually is not necessarily about that, but is about the other end of it. Like I've heard you talk a lot about like the ways you've found more wholeness as you've started to look at undoing these systems of oppression from within, from like the inside out. Like I'm curious if you'd talk more about what does it mean in the wellness communities to get more whole by doing this work? Like how does that actually work?
Yes. Yeah, thanks. So much of me just wants to answer my question, so thanks for redirecting me. Yes, God, it's such a good question. So one of the things that I think about is like how obsessed I was with feeling good from a young age on. Like it's something my mom always talked about, especially as a female socialized person. It was like eat right, exercise right, like look good for your boo. And like look good for your future husband. I grew up in like conservative Idaho, right? So even like I did grow up a little bit with yoga, and it was like feel good. But what was true is like I was still always like really deeply traumatized by social justice stuff going on in the world that wasn't okay. And my instinct was to just turn the other way and focus on what what felt good. And as long as I turned the other way and didn't pay attention to the ways that folks were dying all the time, I could do my yoga and feel okay. What I found is that I actually need to do both to feel whole. I needed some resilience tools for sure. I needed a deeper analysis about like why I was tired at night. I needed to understand like why working 40 hours a week was unsustainable for my body. I needed an understanding of why I was so distressed learning about social justice. And like, but what I found was by looking more deeply into my own racism, looking more deeply into the racism of the world, the transphobia of the world, the sexism going on in the world. Like when I leaned into that and actually found a voice in fighting it and found connection and relationship in it, I felt so much more whole than I would have otherwise. And also like all of my wellness strategies, the eating right, sleeping well, getting my massages, getting my bubble baths, like it all felt like it was like to a greater purpose. That was like, it was to a greater purpose than just me. It was to connect myself with other folks. Like the more I refueled myself, the more I had fuel for doing social justice things. So yeah, in general, I found the relationships that I've gotten from doing this work, and also just like more deeply understanding how much we've been duped by the world around us to think like, oh, it's our fault that we're feeling unwell. Like it's my fault that I need a massage every day. Oh my God, I wish I could have a massage every day. But it's my fault I'm tired at the end of every day, or even at the beginning of every day, you know. And really there are patterns out there. There's a culture out there that's designed to make us tired, right? So that we don't focus on other folks dying in the street, police killing Black folks. And so the deeper I'm starting to understand that and actually like give voice to it and work on that and work on changing that, like it's way beyond wellness. Like I feel whole.
Mm. Thank you. I'm appreciating where you started with like the disconnect of being able to ignore people dying, people being murdered, and like focus on like feeling good, to like integrating both, and how actually there's more wholeness. I'm just appreciating that piece. There's so much more we could talk so much longer, and we will in this upcoming book club and series. Please reach out to us if you have questions and you want to know more about how we work. Want to add anything, Dylan?
I don't think so. Yeah. Grateful for this moment to talk with you, and grateful for being able to talk with folks more deeply about this for much longer than we have today. Yeah, please join us. Looking forward to connecting with you.
All right. Thanks so much, Dylan.
Thanks, Jennie.
Bye.